I'm Laura McNamara at the 2026 Fuel Ethanol Workshop in St. Louis, Missouri. Joining me now is Justin Schultz. Would you introduce yourself for us?
Yep, I'm Justin Schultz. I'm with the Renewable Fuels Association. I'm the Director of Environmental Health and Safety, and I've been with the RFA for about 3 years, been in the industry about 17.
Okay, and you're here to give two different presentations this year. Can you kind of walk us through what you'll be talking about?
Absolutely. So the first one I'm going to be doing is low probability, high consequence events that could occur in ethanol plants. And so the big takeaway from what I'm going to be presenting today is about kind of getting some of these smaller normalization of deviance type events that can cause huge problems in the bigger picture. And so these are kind of things that are ankle biter issues that plants have and then ultimately become really, really big issues and high consequence problems. So talking about how to kind of prevent those from even happening and just ways that we can kind of get ahead of the game on those. The other one's about non-accidental releases with ethanol loading. And these are more like the aha gotcha moments that happen in our industry. And so we do a pretty good job overall. But again, when you ship cars out of here, out of your plant, that's just one of those things that one of the first things they look for, and it's one of the easiest ways that we can get ourselves in trouble. And so the conversation is going to be about how to reduce those and make sure that we're, just basically following our protocols and doing the things that we say that we are doing. And it's always good to just kind of get that back in front of us again every once in a while and, stop that normalization of deviance.
Okay, great. And how do you expect the turnout?
I think it's going to be really good. There's a lot of safety folks that are here. I've already met with them today. I think we're going to have a really good crowd at both of these events.
Okay. And with the consequence events at ethanol plants, are these factors that are greatly affecting the industry, or it's more of like guardrail kind of presentation?
I would say that on a day-to-day basis we don't see it happening, and so it doesn't feel like it's affecting us, but then all of a sudden a big incident will happen. And if you look back the last 10 years now, we've had some major things occur in our plants, whether it be a dust explosion, we've had ethanol fires, we've had a number of things come up that were all preventable. And that's kind of the point of this today, is that we're going to talk about how to prevent that from happening and when to catch it, and not just when it's happening.
And it sounds like bring a little bit more awareness to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about just the habits that get developed. We're going to talk a lot about culture. That's one of the biggest killers in our plants, is when we do things temporarily and then all of a sudden that becomes the norm, and now we got this bigger problem lingering in the background. And so we're going to fix that. We're going to talk about how to fix that and how to get ahead of it.
Okay. And then kind of the same with the non-accidental release at the ethanol rail interface. Is that also kind of more commonplace, or?
Yeah, so it's in the same vein. I would say that we load out, hundreds, thousands of cars a year. Every year we are doing this, and from shift to shift, from employee to employee, sometimes there's just differences in the way people do things. And so the idea here is that we need to keep a standardized practice, and we need to execute that and make sure that we're doing it the same way every single time. What happens is that these cars go out from Midwest to the East Coast, and we don't get to touch that car from the time it leaves our gates. And so we have to make sure that we bundled that thing up, we've done everything right before it leaves the gate. Because if we don't, some other community gets affected. And then all of a sudden, if it happens to be ethanol, now we're a target. And we want to try to avoid that from happening. And it starts with just the lowest level Joe at an ethanol plant, a new employee, just knowing how to do the right things to begin with. And that's really kind of the takeaway. But it's all kind of the same idea, just let's stop our bad habits and focus on what we say we're going to do.
Excellent. And as you've been at the booth, there's been some excitement. Ozzie Smith has been signing baseballs. He's a St. Louis baseball legend. And you're getting excited to have a photograph with him here as well, no?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of great, exciting things happening at the RFA, and to have a Hall of Famer baseball player there, it's unbelievable. You almost get a little bit starstruck when you see someone like that. But you saw the crowds down there. We've got a lot of people there, and we're really excited to do that. So it's going to be good.
Great. Any final words?
Yeah, what I'll tell you is that I'm gonna tell a story during my presentation, and I promise you that if you attend, it's gonna touch your heart, and you're gonna leave thinking, man, I'm glad I showed up.
Excellent. Well, then we'll have to stick around for that story. Thank you so much for your time, Justin. I'm Laura McNamara at the 2026 Fuel Ethanol Workshop in St. Louis, Missouri.